Ladies and gentlemen, it is May 17th. It is a Tuesday, and you know what that means. Tuesdays with Tony. We're a day late and a dollar short. Tony Mazer steering the ship, drinking a beer.
Absolutely. I'm done with work for the day. I'm like a working man, blue collar guy, drinking a nice Coors Banquet. Thank you for Cobra Kai, right?
Yeah. What are you, William Zabka? What are you, Johnny Lawrence?
I love William Zabka.
So do I. So do I. By the way, The Working Man is a pretty good fucking song by Rush.
It is. That was what broke out of Cleveland, out of your old station, WMMS broke it.
Yeah, they're the first one to play it, and that's how Rush got, kind of well known in the States, right?
Yeah, Rush really did break out of Cleveland because they were on a very small label in Canada, and somebody's like, hey, you got to try this band. And they gave them their first track, and they're like, what about this other one called Working Man? I mean, Cleveland is a working man's town, and it was huge. They thought it was Led Zeppelin at the time, and that's how big Rush ended up becoming. And it really came out of Cleveland, and see where it went. And now Neil Peart's dead, so you can't really do mumuch of Rush anymore.
Yeah, I know. So they're just done. It's over. That's how it is.
I mean, you can probably find a very good Neil Peart-like drummer, but there's some bands that just, when the one guy dies, the band's dead. I mean, Nirvana was the same way. However, Alice in Chains can kind of go on because they had Jerry Cantrell sing a little bit too. So they could just find somebody to do Lane's parts, and then Jerry's now the lead singer. So some bands can do it. Some bands can pull it off. Like ZZ Top will probably do that too. They just got to find somebody who has a beard.
No,
like
they already
Dusty
do.
Hill.
They're already doing it. It's already, like 2 days after Dusty Hill dies, they had the bass tech.
Really?
He just so happened to grow his beard out during COVID. Like he almost planned on Dusty kicking the bucket, and he was just going to jump in.
So he just murdered him. He murdered Dusty Hill.
I don't know if he necessarily murdered him, but I think he had a weird hunch that he'd be the new bass player.
And there was Frank Beard, the drummer, who does not really have a beard. He tried to grow it out, but just never really worked for Frank Beard. What an unfortunate name for a band.
There's a great documentary on Netflix if you ever get a chance about ZZ Top.
I've seen it.
It's pretty fucking good.
Was it called the best damn band in Texas or something like that?
Something to that matter. Yeah.
It's really good.
I met ZZ Top backstage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was kind of a trip.
Yeah, ZZ Top. I loved ZZ Top. I was a big fan of theirs back in the day, and I actually saw them at the very first Rock on the Range. I saw them with Velvet Revolver, Evanescence, and all the other bands that they always booked at those Danny Wimmer present shows like Buck Cherry and Breaking Benjamin and everything. But ZZ Top closed it out, so it was kind of cool. But it was nice. At one time you had radio stations like WMMS that were known for it was the Buzzard, and you played music, and it was always known as like the best rock station on the planet. And then nowadays WMMS, in a given day, in 24 hours, between 6 a.m. and 12 a.m., which is 18 hours doing the math, they have 4 hours of music, if that.
I don't even know. I know. Who knows?
It's two talk shows, a morning show, an afternoon drive show. And then you have the Cleveland Guardians, the team once known as the Cleveland Indians, or the Cleveland Cavaliers are playing at night. So you really only have basically between 11 o'clock and 2 or 3 of music. Really sad.
Who's listening to that? Like if you have an iPod at this point, or Apple Music or Spotify, who is listening to the fucking radio for music? Yeah. Who's tuning in? Like, I got to hear some tunes, man. Like, I don't know who listens to the radio for music. If you do, then we probably don't have a connection.
I'll tell you who's listening for music, but it's not music you're passionate about. It's music for background. It's kind of like when you are on a date and you bring a girl back and you just put the TV on. It's kind of like what we did in the 2000s with Comedy Central, is that you were on a date and you brought a girl back and you wanted to have something that was kind of humorous and recognizable. So you put South Park or Chappelle's Show or Key and Peele or whatever was popular.
Yeah, I want to dry humper to Anthony Jeselnik's Premium Blend.
Oh yes, or the Ben Show, or watching John Benjamin Has a Van. But yeah, all of those, you just put something on in the background. That's what radio is nowadays. Music radio is just, it's for a roofer who's going to his next job with all the, either the Mexican immigrants or the Amish, and you just have something on. That there's no hookup for an auxiliary cord, or there's no Bluetooth. That's the only people who radio is really entertaining nowadays.
You know what's funny? When I was staying by your house that month and a half because of COVID, basically
right
what
out
happened
there, by the way, right out there.
Yeah, you love to point that out. That's
I'm pointing for the listeners who don't know the topography of my area.
So anyways, long story short, it was like I had just moved back from LA. COVID happened, the shutdowns. My aunt was desperately afraid that she was going to die from COVID. So I had to figure out something. So I went and stayed at one of those extended stay hotels, which just so happened to be next door to Tony. When I had no clue. I remember I was texting him. I was like, yeah, I'm staying here for like a while until these lockdowns are done. And I happened to be right next to Tony. Well, anyways, long story short, during the lockdowns, nothing was open except grocery stores and liquor stores. So I would walk every day because there was nothing to fucking do except you had to wait till Sunday when the Last Dance was on. That was it. That's all I had. And we do podcasts, and that's when Kevin made me go on that ski mask show, and I it was everyone was doing each other. I did Chrissy Mayer's live, and that's when she's like, I did lots of social climbing. I go, I'll never talk to this woman again. So who keeps texting me? Can you hear that?
I can't hear anything.
Okay. Someone keeps texting me. Anyways, so long story short, there was a Amazon truck outside across the street at that apartment complex, and it was blasting my old radio show. Blasting. And I'm like, oh, it's like I can't get away from it. I got to get the fuck out of here.
It's seriously. I mean, that's what it came down to. And your old radio show, I was leading up to this nice little segue about your podcast that I heard on the way home today.
Oh, you heard it today?
I got a chance. I wanted to make sure it was fresh before we did the Mondays with Mazer, Tuesdays with Tony, Wednesdays with Whiskey or what, I don't know. And what's interesting about, so your podcast, if you haven't listened to it by now, is where you call out Mary Santora, who's a local comedian.
Let me read you the title. I'm looking at it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Santora is a mediocre twat comic.
Yeah. I mean, so I say this as somebody that I've done shows with Mary for probably the last 7, maybe 8 years. I've never really talked to her much. Never had an issue per se with her. I mean, there's certain things with comedy and everything. The only thing is there was one time her and I and Sam Tripoli did a show together.
Really?
And,
where?
I think it was the Funny Stop, but I think you were in LA by this point.
And she was on the show with Sam?
Yep. She was featuring and I was hosting. And I had one of my typical jokes where I was ripping on women because why not? And I got off stage and Mary made like some kind of snide comment. I don't know if it was a comment, like she was just trying to be kind of funny after one of the last things that I was doing on stage, or if she was actually trying to be a cunt about it, but something like, good luck finding a woman these days. And I'm thinking like, bitch, I'm happily in a relationship and about to propose here. And now I'm married. See, one of us is married. One of us followed through with it. And the other, didn't end up happening. But it was like one of those, like, I'm trying to be like a good sport getting off stage when you pass the mic. But it was like, okay. I'm like, I don't know if you're trying to be a cunt right now or if you're just, whatever. But so it was like, I didn't think really two things about it. But as this social climb, just like you mentioned about Chrissy Mayer, this social climb is going on. You're kind of trying to knock down other people who are either at your level or beneath you. And that's kind of what she's been doing. So I've never had a major issue with her, but we did see that we were in the audience that one time when she was hosting for Dave Attell, and it was Attell, Dave Landau, and she was the host. And you could just tell that she was not in the league of David. No one's in the league of Dave Attell, but there are certain people.
Or even the league of Landau.
No, exactly. And you and I were both saying in the back of the room at Hilarities, your job is not to be funnier than, or at least attempt to be funnier than Dave Attell. What your job is, you have a beach ball and Dave Attell has a baseball bat and a tee. All you have to do is you have to do everything you can to make sure that beach ball is put on the tee for him to knock out of the park. Instead, you want to try to out-riff Dave. It's not going to happen. You're not going to do that. And we were both just cringing in the back of the room, I remember.
Well, here's, I've said a lot on that podcast about Mary, and I publicly really never said anything about her. If people would bring her up her name, I'm like, oh yeah, I know she is. Like, I would never go out of my way. I was never a fan. Like I mentioned on that podcast, she stole my Christmas sale joke. she reworded
On a
it
show you were on.
on a show I was on, and I
I
actually
was on
said
that
it.
show too.
And I said, I do a joke just like that. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, yeah, you did. And then she pretty much stole the Hard Rock Rocksino from under me after I booked her, because the showroom manager, I just mentioned this on the podcast with Tyler, wanted to fuck her. And he this guy is one of those dudes who he would manage his like Applebee's and TGI Fridays, and he comes in, now he's managing a comedy club and he thinks he's running comedy. So he gives her the booking and she basically takes it without telling me. So I've always had a history with her, and I bitched her out a few times. And then I told the story about how she came down here for a guest spot. She was here for a funeral or something, and she just started shit talking to me in the Tampa Improv green room. So I was just like, I gotta fuck this chick. She's entitled. She thinks she's bigger than what she is. She ain't shit. She isn't shit. You're a mediocre female comic, one of the few in Cleveland, and that's why you work. And the reason why you work at Hilarities all the time is because you're on the fucking radio. Rack me.
It's what's sad about that is, well, because she's doing so a lot, because I'm sure Alan has probably said a lot between breaks and during the show. And as you mentioned in your podcast, you're like, everything that you have, Mary, and that you have Bill, and that you have Pound Cake, the gay call screener, is because of you. And I'm not saying that to kiss your ass, or, it's true. You helped put that show on the map. Otherwise, who's going around nowadays saying the Alan Cox show? Oh my God, I'm a huge fan of the. It's just on. Like, you're not a diehard. Whatever events they have, or comedy shows or anything, like they do one comedy show a year basically, and they'll get Steve Byrne, or they'll get some, Mike Farrell to host, and it doesn't have. And
by the way, those comedy shows, those once a year's comedy tours, was my idea that I pushed through sales. Alan never wanted to do, but it was such a moneymaker. They continued to do so and continues to go on. And I remember fighting tooth and nail to make that happen, getting a presenting sponsor. I mean, I had an entirely different concept of it, like with a house band, and like it was a whole thing when it first started, but they, then when they saw it was successful, Alan had to put his name on it. So,
well, because you didn't have the resources to do what Rover did with Roverfest, where they would go to some, white trash suburb like Lorraine or East Grease Lake, as we call it, and go out and, book a band or book like Machine Gun Kelly and 3 Days Grace, and then bring Jim Florentine or Bert Kreischer to host it or something and do some stand-up. And your idea was to kind of have that feel of it, where it's like more than just a comedy show, where it's like 4 comics and Alan, because Alan's not much of a comic, to go up there and do some spots, that you wanted kind of this party atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, one year we had our Hall & Oates cover band play, like it was like a whole thing, and we had the full band. It was just fun. It was different, and let me get this straight. Like, I'm not reinventing the wheel doing a comedy show, a stand-up show, but I'm the guy who kind of put everything into place to make it an event, like something big where I got sales involved. But long story short, with all of this girl who jumps on these little, because there's like a small percentage of Cleveland comics that hate my guts. And no matter what I would do, good or bad, they were all over me. And it was one of those things. It was almost like, in a weird way, Donald Trump, people just were programmed to hate Trump. He would do something good. He would pass something. He would get zero credit for it. I was their Donald Trump, and they would hate me. They would find any reason not to like me, good or bad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just what it comes down to, is you have everything that they have right now on the air. And the fact that I believe Mary's full-time now, right? Is she, or is she still kind of a part-time?
I have no
Bill
idea.
is. But the reason Bill's on there is because of you, and it's because of this is what pisses me off. And this is just the way of the business. We understand that. You kind of know going in that people are going to steal your ideas, take credit for it, not give you any credit, and just build off of it. And trust me, I've worked at several radio stations in town that have kind of built a lot of stuff, and that people will still talk about to this day. And it's like, hi, right here.
By the way,
you're the guy.
By the way, put a pin in this real quick. We'll see this girl right here.
Is that Mary Santora?
No, this is a girl named Courtney that I used to date.
Ooh.
I met her at Roverfest. She was one of the calendar girls.
She looks like one, yeah.
She was way out of my league. I mean, it was just Yeah, she was like my girlfriend for like 3 months. Out of control. Anyways,
I heard Florentine say that on his podcast. He did his random rants this week talking about how it's one of his classic stories where he was dating a girl, but then there was another girl who's out of his league that he hooked up with the night before. And then that girl dropped off roses and the other girl's there sitting there for Easter dinner. And he's like, here's some roses.
I've
like,
heard that one.
It's such a classic story. Go check out Jim's podcast this week about it. But when you date out of your league like that, it's and again, it's one of those that you get those from having some kind of stature. I mean, you were the co-host of Alan Cox. You're a comic and everything. And there's
plus I was better looking back then. I was younger and better.
You were playing more pickup basketball.
So yeah. So, but going back to what you were saying, I'm sorry. I just was pulling that up.
Well, all I was going to say was that Mary Santora is not going to be in the Rover catalog, right?
No,
she's not going to be in the. She's not going to be Miss June. She's not going to be Miss October.
She's going to be in the before and after photo of fucked up teeth, and she's the before photo. Rack me.
God, it sucks, man. When you get to that point where you're like, you built a bunch of stuff and people have just completely taken credit for it, taken your ideas, and then you're just sitting there and then anytime you mention it, it's like, what are you, sour grapes? Well, you shouldn't have gotten fired. You shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that. It's like, fuck you, God.
You know what's funny is it was like, because I did that podcast and I knew damn well they weren't going to respond to it because they just ignored me like I never existed. They literally just, that radio silence, like you're off the website and they never talk about you again.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does something.
I've been there.
Yeah, like in 2022, like it does something. Like nobody can just do a Google search and figure stuff out. Anyways, so I tuned in just in case, just to see if they would even mention something about me trashing her. But she wasn't even in studio. She called off. But they start playing one of my bits. Like soon as I tuned in, like something I put together, this Wavy Davy shit, these drops from this DJ. And I'm like, you had nothing to do with this. And now you're playing it.
It's been 10 years.
They're still doing it.
It's so sad when when you listen to these shows that just, let's be honest with radio. And I've said this almost every week we talk about this.
Radio.
They are not in the business of competing against other stations, other jocks, other formats, whatever. They're in the business of keeping their jobs. So they're not going to say anything. They're not going to do anything that's going to be controversial. What they have on the air is garbage. They know it's garbage. But look, every 2 weeks when that direct deposits just drops into their bank account and like, oh, well, guess I'm just going to keep doing this until this money runs out. That's all radio is. And that's not a business I really want to be a part of. I'm a person who likes to be creative, and I also want to be a part of something where I can build upon it and make it good and not be mediocre. And that's all it is. It's just someone like Alan Cox. It's a shame for him. And I say this, I've only met him a couple of times. And the fact
that I'm missing out.
Yeah, exactly. He's a guy that long unfollowed me too, even before the connection you and I have had. But Gwen followed me for a long time too. I don't know why.
Again,
but
are you missing out?
You're just fine with mediocrity. You're just fine with just putting shit out there, just talking into a microphone for a couple hours, and you go home. You cash your paycheck. Is that really what you want to do? That
I'll tell you who
creative.
I'll tell you who this Alan is. This sums it up all together. So we made national news, CNN headline, everything, every news station you can think of. Because when 50 Shades of Grey came out, when it was popping, and everyone's talking about 50 Shades of Grey, I thought it would be hilarious that we had a book burn. I thought, I was always trying to move the needle, Tony.
Look at you. Yeah, that's right. You know what you had? You needed your cat in the balloon.
That was my kitten in the balloon bit. So I told everyone, bring your 50 Shades of Grey to the Paninis in Westlake, because I used to do appearances there every Wednesday, got paid $350, had sex with the salesperson. Anyways, long story short, we show up. Every news channel's there. 3, 5, Fox 8, like just independent reporters. There's a huge group of people, except one person brought a 50 Shades of Grey book. So there was none. And it's just me, Alan, and Erica. And they're just giggling. And I go, dude, we got to do something. He's like, well, what are we going to do? I was like, we got to do a book burn. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to go run over to the fucking Barnes and Nobles over here. I'm going to get us a bunch of books so we can just burn this thing and put it on camera. And they're like, okay. They're looking at me all weird. And I'm like, So as we burn it, it goes viral, national. People are talking about it, how out of control it was, and this and that. But he wasn't going to do anything. He didn't care.
No,
like he was just going to let the bit flop. And I go, hey, listen, I spent like $300 on these books. I was like, can I have half of it at least? And he reluctantly gave it to me. Meanwhile, gave him national attention and exposure.
Yeah, and the same thing with the LeBron jersey thing is just they made it seem like when LeBron left that like legions of people were burning LeBron jerseys, which if you realize it, anytime anybody leaves a team, they're burning the jersey because of that, because of you. You're the reason, because they all think about, oh, remember when Cleveland burned LeBron jerseys? It's like, no, one person did it, and I'm talking to him right now.
There's six of our asshole friends in the parking lot of a Harry Buffalo burning one jersey. But the best part was it was a split screen, much like this Zoom right here. LeBron's on this side on the decision.
With the decision.
And my jersey's burning on the right-hand side. It was the best part.
It's one of my favorite bits when LeBron came back and they won the championship that you did was you said that, I'm going to butcher the bit, but I'll say it from my perspective where it was, a lot of people have thought I was a hero for burning LeBron's jersey. Then he comes back and wins a championship. And now I'm just an asshole who's out $95 for a jersey.
I have forgot that. Thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot about that bit.
Don't cut that out.
Cut that out. There it is.
Yeah, the LeBron jersey thing.
I mean,
so you were at Harry Buffalo in Lakewood when that happened.
I was at the Harry Buffalo in Lakewood, and we gave a heads up on that.
I remember when they announced that. I was at my buddy's house. Yeah,
there it is.
There it is. That's a good jersey, too.
That's the jersey, and LeBron's watching it right there in the decision.
Courtesy of my...
Ain't that hilarious?
Yeah, WEWS.
Yeah, so my friend Jason Herron tipped off the news station that we were going to do it. He brought the lighter. He brought the lighter fluid and lighter.
I was with a buddy that night, and I was at his because I think he had just graduated from college, and so he was home for the summer, and he was going to be a teacher, so of course teachers get 3 months off and a bunch of days off during the school year because they work really, really hard, and so we're there. I'm just at a buddy's house. We're just drinking, and he's dipping and everything, and then they said, LeBron, have you come to your decision? He's like, I have, and I'm gonna go to South Beach and play for the click off. That was it. I never saw the rest of it. I didn't even see the jersey burning until the next day.
Full disclosure, I went in my car and cried afterwards. I'm not joking.
Were you drunk or were you like
a little bit of both? Both. I was pissed, drunk. It was a combination.
It's so funny about that whole time because it was 15 years ago yesterday was when LeBron.
Dude, why is fucking Ian Finance looking at my stories? I'm not even friends with this fucking guy.
That's Ian Fidance.
He's constantly looking at my shit. He doesn't follow me.
Star of the 2021 Rubber City Comedy Festival from last year.
By the way, if you guys are listening, guys, and you're a big fan of me and Tony, do me a huge favor. I'm trying to manipulate this algorithm on Instagram. I just posted a photo of my show at the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga, Tennessee this weekend, Friday and Saturday. And every time you go to promote a show or something, they just bury it in the algorithm. It's almost like shadow banned.
I've noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah. If you could leave a like or a comment, I would appreciate it. I just got to get some movement and some traction on this thing because I'm sick of these Instagram influencers burying me, and I'm funnier than them. Fuck them. Go ahead.
Man, when LeBron left, here's the one thing that was so fascinating about Cleveland at 10, 15 years ago, because 15 years ago yesterday was with that time when LeBron dropped 48 points against the Detroit Pistons. And didn't he score 28 of the last 29 or 29 of the last 30 points for them and beat up Chauncey Billups and Rasheed Wallace and, that second version of the bad boy Pistons of those days. And it was such an amazing game and what he was able to do. And it's amazing to think about how much I can't stand him and couldn't care less what happens to him. I mean, you're talking about when he left in 2010 to go to Miami and he complained about his elbow and everything was going on. As my cat's doing calisthenics behind me. That's Harpo, Ashley. And it was amazing how much the economy in Cleveland was based on one guy. Isn't that sad? it was so sad that the entire economy, the t-shirts, the bars, the restaurants in downtown Cleveland was based on one guy leaving, because the next year they had half a season of Mo Williams and they had Alonzo G. That's all they had with the next season. They had JJ Hickson. And downtown Cleveland was just a complete Scooby-Doo ghost town, if I can quote Mike Polk Jr. in his tourism video. But it's incredible what ended up happening with that. And now fast forward all these years, a decade plus, I couldn't care less what he does, what school, what charter school he's funding. Couldn't care less about this guy.
Well, it's the same thing with me. Fool me once, fool me twice. You're not going to fool me the fourth fucking time. Oh, what shit. Guess who's joining us?
Uh-oh.
We got a surprise guest, everybody. Holy shit. Star power. We got star power.
Yeah, I got about 10 minutes. What's up?
Godfrey, this is Tony Mazer. He's a influencer, if you will. We got Godfrey here. We all know Godfrey. Big fan. Godfrey, what is your take on the Buffalo shootings? Go.
Okay. White people don't like black people. And it was just sad. They shot a lot of this guy shot old people, like people who are like civil rights leaders, teachers. He just went in and he actually like ran into a white dude and said sorry and skipped him and started shooting more black people. So I don't know what the obsession is with the hatred of black people. Okay, you guys tell me, go. What is your obsession? What's your obsession? Because people are obsessed with us. Like, people are obsessed with black people on an athletic level, musical level, and a hatred level. It's very strange. And our culture, everyone wants part of it. Everyone copies it. People make money off of it. People do everything we do, but then they don't want us around. It's very strange. Very strange.
Tony, what's your take? You're a big fan of comedy and a big fan of the Godfrey. What's your take?
I think because black people are just much cooler than white people, like in just everything. And you just, you notice that but I gotta say, it's interesting when you see how like black culture gets so, I forgot what's the gentrified.
Yes.
And it gets so gentrified to the point where you get, Jay-Z's wearing Yankee hats in the 90s. And then I fast forward a couple of years later, you get white dudes from the suburbs and you just go, well, that style's good. What's next, black people? What's next on the docket? Please, pander. What's our next thing that we can copy? That's why we're wearing captain's hats right now. We're like, we're staying away from black culture right now.
We're going the opposite direction.
We're going Thurston Howell the third culture right now.
Yeah, black people are wearing captain's hats.
Gilligan's Island or Captain Steubing from the Love Boat. I get it. You know what I mean?
Who was the black bartender in Love Boat, by the way? I forgot.
Well, there's Ted Lange.
Ted Lange,
yeah. Ted Lange he's director, writer. Isaac, that's right. And I don't know. It's just, you don't want to say it. It's just like, what now? I don't even want, and this is me being a comic, but there's so many other races to be shooting at. I mean, no, come on. You need us. Stop shooting us. You need us for the draft. You need us. Let's keep it 100. You need us for all the cool shit. Academically, black people are number one. Nigerians are number one in science and mathematics around the world. African-American women are the most educated in America. White people are at the bottom. You're not fucking with Asians. You can't win the spelling bees anymore.
Now, Godfrey, what are your thoughts on, because this shooter was talking about what they call the white replacement theory, where that there's this conspiracy theory out there that white people, whether it's through demographics for voting or for just eliminating and having a genocide of white people in order to bring in immigrants and black culture to mate with our white men and women, and that's the whole theory that they keep talking about. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, there is a thing where I think there's a white panic because they're going, oh no, America is turning back to its original color, guys. Native Americans. You really look at the Native American plight. I was looking up, what was I looking up? I was looking up, I was looking up, I think Arkansas. I was looking up the Ozark, because I'm watching the series and I just wanted to look up the history of Ozark. And it's the Quapaw Indians, that territory. But you wouldn't know that because it's all white now. But, you know, America was a brown place at first. America and Canada, North America was all Native American brown people. And when whites go, we got to save our country, I go, are you talking about Ireland and Poland and Russia?
So you're saying white people just need to go back to where they came from?
Yeah, because they always tell us, but they always tell us that. Go back to where you came from. I said, then everybody should get a plane ticket and get the fuck out. You know, it's just what I'm saying. And black people, especially, not every black person was a slave, but there were black people that were already here that actually have roots here that were never slaves. But they grabbed a bunch of black people here on purpose for obviously the economy, which was cotton, the whole nine. You have them build up the whole country, and then you want to kill them. It's the atrocities just stack up, man. Then there's redlining. You heard about the redlining, right? Mm-hmm. Redlining. There's a book called The Color of Law. This Jewish cat wrote it. It's really good. Came out 2 years ago, talking about how, they purposely redlined black people, kept black people from buying houses after World War II. There were guys that sacrificed their bodies, black soldiers that didn't even get to buy a house, kept us in the projects and the ghettos on purpose. It was all, and it started, guess where? San Francisco started that whole shit. This liberal, and it's a book. It's a white Jewish guy that wrote it. So read it.
By the way, side notes, you know who else is from the Ozarks? Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt's from the Ozark. I was in that area. I was in Blue Room Comedy Club.
Oh, that's in the Ozarks?
That's close to where that's Brad Pitt's town.
Okay. Yeah, I know that club.
Yeah, so Brad Pitt's from the Ozarks. You got a lot of them, he's a kind of a yeehaw. And they got George Clooney's from Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area. Just that area right there, right over the bridge. So
you mean Booker from Facts of Life?
Yeah, there's a lot of yeehaws, man. There's a lot of look. I mean, Johnny Depp's a yeehaw. Kentucky, come on, give me a break.
All right, Godfrey.
Chad, have you heard, by the way, I know Godfrey knows about this, in New York about Robert Moses, about the bridges especially in Long Island, where that they were saying that Robert Moses purposefully designed the bridges to be low when you head out and towards Long Island, like Jones Beach, just so they're low enough that buses could not transport people to and from, that they had to stay in certain areas. And that's the whole thing with Robert Moses.
Yeah, I see, architecture has always been part of keeping people segregated. That's why they did a lot of highways running through black neighborhoods to block. Like, I'm from Chicago, so the most segregated city in the country still to this day. Martin Luther King had the worst time in Chicago, and he came from Alabama. They hit him with a brick in the 60s in Chicago. So Chicago's the most segregated city. So they purposely would do like certain things, like they would take like the projects where black people live and build a highway to block so white people wouldn't have to see, they did that shit, or have railway systems by black neighborhoods to ship people out.
I know that I have family lives in Blue Island, and they were talking about how
Blue Island, okay, yeah.
How there's a railroad track, and they say black people on that side and white people. I'm like,
it's
2022. Are you kidding? This is still going on, but it's going on, and it's going on in these supposed liberal cities like Boston, Chicago, like you said, San Francisco. This is still going on nowadays.
Yeah, it's still going on, and these are the same people that want a basketball championship, because the Boston Celtics are. Now, see, that's when we're relevant, when basketball season's around, football season's around. That those are the saving grace. If we win a championship for a city, I love what they say. They go, look at this, everybody's celebrating. All the races are together. Yeah, because some black dudes bought you a fucking trophy. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just a repetitive bullshit that it's just tiring, It's just tiring that a white dude can just walk around with an assault rifle. And then they go, we need to talk about mental illness. That wasn't mental illness. That was just racism. Mental illness. Now, if a black dude, we get killed if we're suspected of having a gun, we get killed. See, now, and that's why a lot of black people have to start getting into gun awareness. And a lot of my friends have been buying guns and shit like that. You got
Michael Che?
Because they always say, like Nick Cannon is a gun expert. Different people are different gun experts.
Nick Cannon has a gun?
Nick Cannon's he's a gun expert. All his people around him are all gun experts. Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. So you run up on Nick, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah,
so,
don't run up on Nick Cannon, motherfucker.
Yeah, last name's Cannon. Okay. He doesn't just shoot off other shit, but
I thought the cannon was about his cock because he can't stop having kids.
Yeah, it's both. It's both. But no, listen, man, I hate the whole, it's just fuck, man. And listen, not every white guy's going around shooting people. So that's facts. But when it happens, it's isolated incidents. And when it's happening, it's towards you. You just go, what the fuck, man? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? And then they'll deflect and go, well, black people kill black people. We're not talking about that, man. We're talking about this dude that purposely went to a grocery store to shoot old black people. He shot, and maybe there was like a 30-year-old and a 50-year-old, but everybody was like 70s, 80s. I was like, wow. You know, I wish these tough guys, why don't you go to the hood, go find some brothers that are young that shoot back. Go do that. Challenge yourself and see how that comes out. You know what I mean? What the fuck? And I feel bad for the guy who was a fire commissioner. His mom was killed. She was 86 years old, and his parents were married for like 60 something years, and then he loses his mom, and the mom was taking care of the dad like every day in the nursing home.
Well, Godfrey, let me ask you this real quick because I know you got a couple minutes. You follow Godfrey comedian on Instagram,
Comedian
Godfrey, and he'll be at the Helium Club in Indianapolis this weekend.
This week, baby, come on! And Levity Live is the next week. Levity Live in Nyack, New York.
Let me ask you this, because I was at the Philly game a couple years ago, and I was wearing a Kyrie Irving jersey, and I was going to my seat, and it was pretty close to the floor. And the guy behind me looks at me. I'm wearing a Cavs thing, first of all, and he calls me an N-word lover. How should I respond in that situation?
An N-word lover.
True story.
No. That happened to that guy in the Uber guy, the white guy that kicked those racist white people out, which I thought was cool. And then they called him an N-word lover. I go, but most white people are N-word lovers. That's what I don't understand. They're those ones that say the N-word, they're the ones that are the N-word lovers because they're the ones at the basketball games. And they were at a basketball game, right? Or a Philly baseball game? What was it?
Oh, you were telling me about it. I don't remember. You said
but I'm saying,
a game. Yeah.
Where were you at? What game were you at?
I was at the Cavs Philly game a couple years ago.
Yeah. And they're N-word lover, but you're at a basketball game. That's a paradox. I don't get it. You're watching a bunch of black dudes run up and down the court and you're calling a white guy with a Kyrie Irving shirt an N-word lover. I'm not connecting this dissonance, this mental dissonance that some of these white folks have. I don't get it. I just go, you N-word lover, but you're at a basketball game. I don't understand.
So am I a coward that I just sat down without saying anything and saying, hey, man?
Great. I thought that, yeah. Or maybe if you would have punched him out or something, that would have been cool, but you would have been kicked out.
Yeah.
But the fact that you didn't even answer him, I think
that was the same city Bill Burr went off on.
He said it really loud just because you were wearing a jersey?
Yeah. It was pretty uncomfortable. I had Allie there. You remember Allie from Kumia show or whatever? Yeah, she was there. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Wow, and that's weird. And Allie's probably used to the N-word anyway. She works for Kumia, right?
No, not anymore.
Oh, yeah. that whole radio station needs their ass whooped. It'd be nice to go bum rush and just beat the shit out of Kumia, beat the shit out of what's his name?
Gino.
Gino needs his ass whooped. That's why he's not walking around New York because he's gonna get fucked up as promised. Yeah.
I gotta say, Godfrey, I've seen you live a couple of times, and one of my favorite things is, and I reminded you at one time, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't even know I did that." You started talking about how one of the great jazz albums of all time was the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Man, Christmas album, it's unbelievable.
And the fact that you did an entire 20-minute bit about it, and it was brilliant. And Chad told me, he's like, I worked with Godfrey all weekend. He did 5 separate hours, 5 completely different hours. So Godfrey, I mean, I'm not saying this because you're on to kiss your ass. You are. There's no reason you shouldn't be bigger than you are. Of course, I think everybody can say that. Yeah. But you're just fantastic. I'm a huge fan.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And Chad knows we talk when we talk race. He knows where I'm coming from with it. It's not about And you know, and people want to deflect and go, yo, you hate white people. I go, stop. They hated me first. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I was minding my business, man. I have friends, listen, and I don't want to sound corny, but I have friends from every walk of life. Chad's one of my best friends, you know, period. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I talk about racial issues, it's because it's happening. It's not because let me just talk about racial issues just to be pissing people. No, it's actually happening. It continues. And when you said 2022, right? You go, man, it's 2022. You know what I do? So people can keep a real perspective. I have kind of an equation. All you got to do is subtract by 100 years, and then we're in the exact place we need to be. It's 1922, because that's how people still fucking act. You understand? I'm talking about white people, especially because back in the 20s, Black people weren't able to walk through the front door. We weren't able, you know, we weren't allowed to read either. It was illegal for us to read and stuff like that. So I think Black people have improved highly because we can read now, we do this, we graduate, da, da, da. Even though we're under duress and hate and evil, we still get our degrees, da, 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 boom, right?
This is
and so it's 1922. So whatever year you talk about, subtract by 100 by most white people's mentality.
And this is coming from an honor roll student from Lane Tech.
Lane Tech, Chicago, baby, all day. #1 academically and sports, along with Michelle Obama's high school, Whitney Young.
And you went to college where? Northwestern?
No, University of Illinois, Champaign, Fighting Illini, sucky football team, decent basketball team. Big
Pre-med. This guy knows his shit.
Pre-med psychology. Let's go, baby. What the fuck? The fuck?
Before you go, Godfrey, because I know you got to get shit done today. You got 4 auditions and you got to do 95 seller spots.
Yeah, man, shut up.
I need to get a little Johnny Depp. I need some Johnny Depp.
Oh, well, my girlfriend, I was sleeping, and I wake up. She has a little pile of shit right next to my head. I couldn't believe it. It was defecation, you know. In all my acting years, I've never seen defecation ever. My bad. It was incredible. I don't know. She's a crazy cunt. She's a cunt. And I've called her cunts, but she's crazy. She's out of her mind.
That's my Johnny Depp. I just go, how does he come from Kentucky and all of a sudden gets this accent?
That's what Madonna did. Madonna was from Detroit, and all of a sudden she's with Guy Ritchie for 2 months, and she's like, well, you know, so it's very posh accent.
It's just like Tina Turner. She's Anime Bullock from fucking Nutbush, Tennessee, and she's like, you know, at the time when I was singing with, it was a beautiful time. Mm-hmm. Big wheel, keep on burning. Proud Mary, keep on turning, and we're gonna do it nice and slow.
That's like Jonathan Harris from Lost in Space. Everyone thought he was English. He's like, no, my boy, I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx. Yeah, he was from New York.
From the Bronx, man. Oh, Lost in Space. What a great fucking theme song.
Tell
what?
Before you roll out, tell us about when Olivia Newton-John came and saw you at the cellar.
Well, and what's funny is Jim Norton was there, and what's funny is I had just finished watching the 25th anniversary of Grease on my DVD, and it was like, because I love Grease, that's my favorite musical. I watch that shit any day, anytime, and I come down. It's a January. And this is like 15 years ago. And so I go downstairs and they said, guess who's downstairs? They said, Olivia Newton-John. I go, are you fucking kidding me? I was just watching a bunch of shit about Grease and what the filming was like. And she was down there right in the center. And I just started making fun of her, like in a good way. I was like, you're my first white girlfriend. You don't even know that, do you? Hopelessly devoted? Shit, you had me. And hopelessly. I was talking about Grease. I go, I always wanted to be in a gang where they danced a lot. Yeah. So she was laughing, and then I met her after the show. She waited for me and her daughter, Chloe, and we talked in her limousine for like a good 20 minutes. And Jim Norton was,
you're so talented.
She's like, no, you're so talented. You know, that Australian shit. He's like, I don't say that to a lot of people. You're so talented. It's like, Sandy.
Did you talk to her about Xanadu?
Yeah, Xanadu. What?
What's
Physical. I wanna get physical. Yeah, but that was cool, man. To meet her was pretty badass. And you know, Chaz Palminteri was at my show.
For real?
Yeah, he was there about half a year ago, and I have a picture with him. And he was at my show. I didn't even know he was there. You know, he's like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey, you, come here. Hey, this guy." And he's sitting right next to it. He's standing next to another mob dude. I swear to God, that guy's a made man. I swear to God. He's standing next to this fucking shorter Italian guy with a really nice suit, a diamond ring on his finger. He goes, come here, this guy right here. You're so fucking talented. I was so impressed. You were the best. You're the best. What's your name, kid? I go, my name is Godfrey. Collagenal? He goes, you're the fucking best. He goes, you keep it up. You're fucking talent. That was fucking amazing. And his guy sitting next to him goes, yeah, you're fucking great. You're fucking hilarious. It was great. And I go, wow. I said, what do you do? He goes, I do things. Don't worry about it. It was right out of the Italian-American book, handbook. He goes, I do things. No problem, but you're fucking talented. Keep it up, buddy.
Now go shine my shoes.
I go get your shine box, you fucking mook. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I have pictures. I'll send you the photo. Me and Chaz, the shit was fire. I was like, God damn. So Chaz, I've been approached by William Shatner. Shatner's been in my show, and he came and was like, you were very funny. Very, very funny. And he walked off. Shatner was cool.
Tony Hawk, you met Tony Hawk.
Oh, Tony Hawk was kick-ass because when he was sitting in the front, I go, man, you look just like Tony Hawk, bro. And I'm fucking making fun of skateboard. And I go, that's fucking Tony Hawk. He goes, hey, man. Everyone's like, yo! I got photos with him. Tony Hawk was so humble, man. What a nice guy, Tony Hawk. We've had Jessica Biel, which one?
Jennifer Beals from Flashdance.
Yeah, Jessica Biel and Claire Danes have watched us. You know, she's been down there and she's fucked with us, and yeah. So we've had a lot of different people. You know how it is in comedy. Anybody can be an audience. I remember Harvey Keitel when I met him through Brian Callen, and Harvey was like, Harvey goes, you gentlemen were very funny. I enjoyed that. Listen, I'm thinking about doing comedy. I'm not sure, but I want to do it. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult art form. You guys take it seriously. Yo, the shit was like, he's always like that. And it was right in front of the Laugh Factory. And then I had Joe Pesci at my show. It was at the Laugh Factory. We had Joe Pesci. It wasn't a big crowd. And all the comics were bombing because they were like, dude, Joe Pesci's here. All I did was get on stage and start making fun of Joe Pesci. I had no other choice. I go, Joe, I just want to tell you, I could watch you ice pick a motherfucker for 2 hours. It could be called Joe Pesci and Ice Picker. I would fucking watch it. And he's just laughing like, this motherfucker right now. And he's sitting next to this big ass Italian bodyguard. After the show, Joe goes, hey, come here. Hey, you're fucking hilarious. You're fucking hilarious. Holy shit. He goes, hey, the next time you make fun of me, I'll kick your black ass all down the fucking street. I said, I just got threatened by Joe Pesci. He starts laughing. He goes, I'm just fucking kidding me. You're fucking hilarious. Isn't that fucking awesome?
That's awesome.
When I met Denzel Washington through TJ Miller. I was at the end. I went to the set of Unstoppable with him. And
yeah.
He, like, as soon as he goes, hey, TJ's like, this is my buddy Che. He's a comedian. He's like, oh, you think you're funny? You think you're a funny guy? I was like, you're doing Denzel.
Yeah. And 3 or 4 times. And one time I was at this Nike. It was like some shoe reveal thing. And Denzel was leaning against the wall. I go, what the fuck? I go, what's up, Mr. Watch? He goes, how you doing? He goes, hey, you're the comedian, right? Yeah. I said, you're the comedian, right? Yeah, you're funny. I've seen you. All right. Yeah. I was like, fuck. I was like, that shit was like, what? And then I just ran into Viola Davis a couple weeks ago. I told you that, no?
Viola Davis, who's the hell's that?
Viola Davis is like the fucking female Denzel Washington. Viola Davis has
She's
been
the queen now. She's playing Michelle Obama in some show.
It's right, exactly. Playing Michelle Obama. She's been in fucking The Help and she was in The Wire. She's been in so much. She's How to Get Away with Murder, that ABC series. She's from Juilliard. She was my first roommate when I moved to New York City, and she was my first roommate. And I saw her at the 92Y. You know, they do these one-on-one interviews. And I hadn't seen her in 20 years. And I thought if I went to go see her, live interview, bought her book, the whole nine. And then I go, wow, I hope she remembers me. So I went backstage because I had a hookup, and Katie Couric was there. Katie was really, really nice. I said, oh, this is a good start. Katie Couric said hi, cool. And then I go in and Viola Davis goes, there goes my roommate. I go, holy fuck. So Viola Davis showed me love. So, you know, I'm getting a little validation from very talented people.
Chad, we had Bernie Kosar see a show one time.
That was
Bernie.
Browns quarterback.
Yeah, he came up to us afterwards like, hey, you guys are really funny. And I was flattered until I realized he was in the NFL concussion lawsuit.
Oh, damn. But at least a guy with a concussion, he knows what good stuff is, man.
Hopefully.
Bernie Kosar, man, damn, old school shit. Quarterback.
You can you can listen and watch Godfrey's podcast on the Gas Digital Network in Godfrey We Trust. You can subscribe, and you guys go live on Tuesdays.
Code. Yeah, Tuesdays we go live, and we're Tuesdays and Fridays, 10 p.m. Eastern. And you use a promo code Godfrey, and you get a week for free. And that's Louis J. Gomez and Ralph Sutton's network, which is kick-ass. You know, it's what it is. Legion of Skanks and all these knuckleheads, man. And I'm on that network.
Yeah, you're doing Skankfest this year, right?
Yeah, I'm doing Skankfest finally. Doing Skankfest.
You're gonna love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, man. I know the whole crew. It was just timing wise. I just would never. I'd be like, and Louis would be like, Godfrey, we got a date. When you coming? I'm like, I can't do it. Fuck. And so now I made room for that shit. So,
Tony, since this is your show, any questions before we leave?
No, I mean, a lot of loaded questions we could talk about, but I'm not making a pun there. It's everything would be like Godfrey has to go. He's got other stuff going on, but I'd love to actually talk to him on my podcast.
I'll be here for the whole time. I just knew he wanted me to come on for a quick second. I got to go to a fucking bank and some other shit. So I got to go. But my podcast is tonight, so I got to fucking get ready to record that. Yeah. So.
Well, listen, we appreciate your time always. And God bless. Let's bring home the troops.
Jesus Christ. I think that Captain Ahab. Fuck. It's like you got Gopher and fucking Captain Stubing. I don't know which one of you guys are gonna be. Love, exciting and new. Up aboard. We're expecting you.
The last thing, Godfrey, I wanted to ask you about is Chad and I want to come up with T-shirts of that episode of Different Strokes when Arnold and Dudley are in the bike shop with Gordon Jump.
That's so bad.
Mr. Horton's Bike Shop. Would you buy that shirt?
Have you ever been poked by a spoke? What? We're spoke poking tonight, baby. That was a fucked up episode, man.
It's one of those special episodes of Different Strokes.
Oh my God. Yeah, talk about Different Stroke. Jesus.
Now, Gordon Jump had a tough time getting roles after that.
He was the Maytag repairman after that, I think.
The Maytag. I think he was after that. Wasn't he after? Because I think he was 70s spokesperson. And then he went into child molestation.
Yeah, he went from being the president of the radio station in WKRP in Cincinnati, and then then he's like, you know what? I'm going to do a dramatic role on this sitcom and be the molester at the bike shop. And then after that, he's the Maytag guy.
I got the Maytag guy couldn't wash that away. Jeez, I had to go there. Sometimes I go into corny zone because it works.
Whenever I tell a corny joke and I know Godfrey will just stop everything, he's like, just say what you just said again. Repeat what you said just to make me feel like a fucking idiot.
No, repeat what you said with confidence. All right, guys. You guys that I expected. God damn it.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
No, hell yeah. Come on next time when I got time and do the whole thing.
All right, Brody. We'll see you later, everybody. It's Godfrey Comedian, the one and only.
Peace.
Yeah, there he is. That was fun, right?
That's awesome. That was unexpected. I didn't know you had a special guest planned. It's kind of like when you'd have the old Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. All of a sudden, for whatever reason, Frank Sinatra comes on stage.
Well, he was texting me during the podcast, and I go, I'm doing a podcast with my buddy Tony. And he goes, let me come on and talk about the Buffalo shit. I go, okay. So I just sent him a link.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even tell you. I just did it.
Oh, we should save this for our football podcast, even though it's not football. This just broke a few minutes ago. Baltimore Orioles pitcher Matt Harvey has been suspended for 60 games by Major League Baseball for distributing a prohibited drug of abuse. The former New York Mets star admitted in February to using cocaine in New York and California. So he was distributing opioids. Wow. What baseball player, what do you not make enough money that you also have to do a little bit of dealing on the side?
A little side hustle? Is he the distributor to Kate Quigley and her friends?
Or he's like the Pittsburgh, the Parrot back in the 80s where they was dealing cocaine when he was the mascot for the Pirates.
Got to make a little side hustle, It's like Brian McCarthy. He was all about the booger sugar. Like that's how he
Justice for Foo.
Godfrey. Brian McCarthy made a lot of his connections through selling the old cocaine.
Justice for Foo.
Justice for Foo. Never forget. By the way, before Godfrey was talking or came on, I pulled this up off All Access. It was when we were talking about the Cavs and LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
So after LeBron left, the Cavs were down for anything because they just took a hit. Nobody could go to the fucking. So I went to Bo Matthews, my program director. I'm like, I want sweater vest night at the Cavs game because I used to wear a sweater vest all the time. And the Cavs were like, yeah, we'll do it. And they did. And it says, all right, Clear Channel Rocker WMS Cleveland is hosting the official Sweater Vest T-shirt night Tuesday, November 16th at the Q, featuring Chad Zumock from the Alan Cox Show. Everyone in attendance will receive an official wine and gold sweater vest courtesy of WMMS. They actually did this.
I remember. Wasn't it also because Dan Gilbert also sometimes wore sweater vests too? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do a sweater vest night. Like that was going to be a thing.
I don't know if that was anything with Gilbert, but it says Zumock has been outspoken in his support for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the fans are known as the Sweater Vest Army due to his signature vest clothing. I got an NBA team to do this. How fucking stupid is it?
Yeah, and then here you are in a podcast with me and Godfrey on a Tuesdays with Tony. I love that. The attachment. You guys are mentioning, you're like, oh, Olivia Newton-John, Denzel Washington, all these like brushes with fame. And here I am going like, Bernie once saw my show. I've had other people, but it's just like, I thought it was funny how you and I did a show and Bernie's in the audience.
Yeah, I think the most famous one that really fucked with me, I don't know if I talked about it, was Anthony Kiedis from the Chili Peppers.
Yeah, you talked about it. Didn't he sit in the front row too?
Front row. It was just like, what the fuck? I was like midway through my third joke. I'm like, because at the time, like the Chili Peppers were my favorite bands. It was around Stadium Arcadium. Well, that's when I was doing the show. So it was fucking nuts.
You should have told him on stage just to condense Stadium Arcadium into one album, and it would have been a masterpiece. Otherwise, it was an all right album. Some comic
two after me made a Kiedis joke, and that's when he got up and left. He's like, I didn't come here for this. I don't blame him.
I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, Tone, we're up against it. We had that nice special guest star pop in.
That's nice.
Give us a little fuel.
Little bit of fuel for heading into the rest of the week. And go out and check out my Patreon. By the way, it's patreon.com/Tony Mazer. I did something different this week. Instead of talking news and everything going on, I did the cliched hack bit. Who is your Mount Rushmore of comedians? But I play clips of them as to why they inspire me. And I talk about how, you and I mention this on our podcast every so often about how we need to be inspired to go on stage, and that there's sometimes you're just like, God, why am I still doing this? And then every so often you get that little bit of inspiration. So I talk about some of my favorite comics that have really inspired me as to why I'm to go on stage. And so I'll give it away. My four comics, Norm, Bill Hicks, Dave Attell, and Louie are the ones that got me into doing comedy and why I wanted to continue doing comedy. And every time I listen to them, I go, either I need to write better or I just need to completely quit. And those are the four. And then I do some honorable mentions, and that'll be on my Patreon on Thursday as well.
Where was Gino Bisconte?
Gino just missed the list. So, you know, when you're looking at Mount Rushmore in the Dakotas, it's kind of like the Rocky statue in Philadelphia, where it's not on top of the Rocky steps, it's just kind of next to it.
By the way, I fucking loved when Godfrey called out Gino.
Gino and Anthony, yeah.
I will be putting that clip up on social media.
Oh boy. Yeah, that'll be a Joe Exotic or a Misery Loves Clips that'll be going out there.
I'm going to make sure people see that one.
Oh boy. I disavow everything that was said about Gino, Cumia, Mary Santora, and Chrissy Mayer on this podcast today. I'm done.
I vow. All right, for Tony Mazer, this was Tuesdays with Tony. Sign up to the Patreon, guys. That's a wrap. Good night.